Hi, and welcome to The Highest Point. This is going to be our new podcast for Team Zenith. With me today, I have Daz
Hey.
and Terry.
What's up?
And I'm Rain, of course.
You sound
And
like Wisdom, Terry.
Do I?
Yeah, you do.
well, actually, Wisdom's kind of got a deeper voice, but that's
Anyway, let's go.
All right. Well, our first topic today will be elementals usage, and in particular things like trees and maybe some points on what elementals is good at, what it's not. Just in general, elementals. And let's get right into that then. What do we know about elementals?
Um, well, Elementals, it's like, I would say the whole empire is based around pressure and its matchups. It's like if you hit 80-80, pop, then it's like, and the other player isn't dead, then you're just gonna slowly lose traction, and you can't really push it. Like, Order, once it gets into its death ball, which is like ninjas, mages, giants, mercs, maybe some Albows occasionally, and depending on the game, then I don't know, Elementals can't really do anything about it.
Well, I mean, that's assuming either player gets to that point. Elementals is very pressure-based. They need to be attacking constantly. And to do that, they don't really have any reliable way to do this. They don't have anything that's straight DPS. They really, really rely on the burst damage from things like Hurricane, like Scorpion pickoffs, and like blasts, basically. And all of that is very not cost-effective, and it's very liable to get picked off. But trees are what their entire basis is, essentially.
I think that's because trees are like the only stable, like consistent thing you can get. The other consistent unit was Chirag, and then like the water got nerfed to the ground, so Chirag mass didn't really work out.
Yeah.
So we're back with trees.
Actually, yeah. Not to mention that trees are like just almost insanely cost effective. Like 500 gold and 100 mana just for three scorpions, which deals. I actually do not know how much damage they deal, but they still deal pretty mediocre damage.
Yeah, they do pretty ridiculous damage, but
what I feel is
trees are so positive.
What I feel is more important with the Scorpions is the fact that they're a zero-cost unit, and they can be 2 bars for free, and they can tank up to I think it's 9 archer shots, is it? And that's quite a bit.
Yeah,
wait, hold on.
Allows you.
Wait, hold on. Wasn't there an update to make Scorpion cost mana now?
Yeah, it costs 3
Yeah,
mana.
but I mean it's
minuscule.
not that big of a deal. Yeah, it's 3 mana per Scorpion.
I would have been at 10.
Like
10.
Tree starts are essentially killed by it though, because you need to be on mana, and that stops you almost completely from getting on gold and expanding off of a tree start. But tree start is kind of cheesy either way.
I don't know, because it's 9 mana to get out 3 sculpts. You mine a bit of gold, then get back on the mana or something, so...
Well, yeah. Right, but you still need the mana base to get Death Blossom, and you need the initial 100 to get out trees. And Death Blossom is pretty important to how trees are. It completely, well not completely, but it's a very strong deterrent to moving in with archers, because it gets almost killed by it and stunned, which allows the Scorpions, which are about sword pace, I believe, to just run at the stunned archer and pick it off. Early game, it's completely impossible to pressure into elementals because of trees. To an extent, maybe regular airs, but mostly it's castle airs, I think they do more damage now with burn than they did before, and it still picks off two hits,
Yeah, I think the problem with I really don't like Death Block, and actually elementals in general. It's really silly how pressure, for example, we're talking OVE, right? And they get a caster elemental and you can't do anything because it's just you just can't do anything. And that's kind of Death Blossom. They have 2 trees. They're just gonna Death Blossom you, and that's 1 dead archer. And it feels really bad because there's no counterplay to it other than avoiding it until you have, say, a miracle or something. So yeah, Terry, do you have any thoughts?
Um, I don't have one at the moment.
Channel
My head's
group
still warming up.
changed.
Wait, what the?
What?
What was that?
Our
Channel
group
change.
changed
Anyway.
apparently.
Oh, it doesn't matter, just go.
Oh, yeah, I think I just moved the channel into TeamSpeak. Sorry about that.
God dang it, Rain. Okay.
Rain.
Honest. Okay, yeah, my brain's running dry at the moment. I'll eventually think of something. Not right now though. Sad.
I mean, you've named Elemental, so you should have the most experience out of us, I guess.
Actually, no. The thing is, I barely use trees though. That's the thing.
Wait, what did you use then? Charles?
I use mostly chargs, fires, and occasionally when I feel fancy, I would just go cycling with airs or maybe fires. I don't know.
Yeah, Chirag's getting nerfed. That was messy. Cause
Wait, chargs got nerfed?
I mean, Chirag Mass got nerfed because water's...
Yeah, that's... they still didn't fix the infinite jump bug, though. Not
Infinite
directly,
jump.
but they nerfed them indirectly because of water heal, you know?
Yeah. So basically we've kind of come to the conclusion that, like, elementals in early game, like, and the transition, you can't pressure. We've already established Castle Elemental, and I mean, it technically was supposed to get nerfed, like reduce the normal damage and then put a bit of burn splash to make up for it, but instead it still 2 hits archers, and it, like, wrecks everything around it, which is a pain. So you can't pressure into that. And the second thing is, yeah, go on.
It's not really that effective. The burn itself, the burn splash, is pretty weak, to be honest. I think they kind of toned it down a bit with the last update, but I mean, it's not like a numbered update, but sometimes they do hidden updates, like how they changed Mage Poison back to high damage.
Yeah.
But
Wait, they changed to Mage Poison?
Well, I mean, a long time ago, yeah.
Okay,
Like,
never
I
mind then.
remember that it would... Or what? Not Mage Poison, Mage Blast. But anyway, that's off topic, but... yeah, they changed it a little bit. The burn isn't as ridiculous as when it was first introduced. It only kind of marginally helps against swords, but it essentially guarantees crawlers can't retreat out of castle.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really matter.
Yeah. But as I was saying, like, the second problem, okay, say to get a Chirag. It's like an early sphere. You can't do jack shit. And then, like, it's got more HP than the sphere, so it's like, you can't. You just have to back out. The second unit is trees, and trees Death Blossom, so you can't push into that either, especially if it's in the castle elemental range, so you can't, like, move your swords in, and archers are too risky. Yeah.
Right, but there's a common problem between those. They completely get stopped by walls and castle archers, and neither has the DPS to really break through mercs. So once it gets past that initial rush in the early game, Elementals has no answers to order, really.
Yeah, exactly. You can stall for, like, 30 minutes on castle elementals. I mean, Terry, like, did you ever, like, feel that stall of an order play or something?
Occasionally yes and occasionally no, but that's probably because I ran into really more of a mixed players when it comes to EVO. But yeah, other than that, I think for the most part, yeah, I did feel that I really couldn't really do much against not castle, against castle archers in order, because they also, not to mention, they also had walls. Honestly, back when I used to play elementals, my only response to that would be air, but then of course that would be archers taking behind, or I could have just, so yeah.
Okay, so, like, okay. So, okay, so apart from Chirag's got nerfed, so we'll take it out of the way. Basically, waters just heal Chirag, and you can just run in. So the current method is to get trees, and then use fires for DPS, or like airs and so forth. Use range units, and that has a problem. Okay, that has a problem, and then the other thing is that we have AoE units like Cycloid and Inferno, and their aim is to get, like...
And maybe Charog on the list, but well, they hardly do any damage though.
Yeah, but Chirag kind of got Yeah, indirectly nerfed that no one uses it anymore. But those two problems, the gimmicky and over reliance on burst damage, as well as the not so effective range units, like how comes Ellie like can't you rely on them to pressure like Rain Terry?
Well, I
Well,
feel the reason that they can't really rely on them is because they don't have. I mean, they can get out a crazy economy in the early game, but that's not going to sustain them for very long because of the high gold cost of fires and airs. And if you want to diffuse something to maybe bust into an order turtle, like say maybe an inferno or a couple hurricanes, that's going to cut your DPS. Like say you have 4 fires and you fuse an inferno, or 4 fires and maybe 2 airs, that cuts your DPS down by like it would be a fourth, yeah, a fourth or so. And
so
after the initial after the initial meteor pool, it doesn't really do anything. It's just kind of there.
What the fuck was that?
so
Wait,
However,
wait.
basically,
it's
so
another
basically,
problem
combining
for
units
the
is
time.
kind of like a counterintuitive method if you want
Like
to deal more
it,
damage. That is absurd.
right, right, because the fusions that you want, like Charogs and Infernos, require your ranged unit to sacrifice itself to get that unit out. Like say your problem maybe is that you need Charogs to tank for your fires. Well, once you make a Charog, there's no fires to tank for, is what I'm trying to say essentially. Maybe I got a bit off on a tangent.
Yeah, and the thing is, okay, you're gonna push in with that Chirag, but after the short-term benefit, oh shit, I've got no reliable DPS anymore. So, yeah, that's why Elementals is so, like, it's like you can't pressure in.
Right, right, and there's no way to really stop them from counter pressuring after you've done that, or even if you haven't done that, because there's really no response. Well, I mean, there's a response, I would say, to archers in Charogs and trees, but that
And
just
Inferno's to
forces them
push him
back to
back a bit,
walls.
but
Is it worth the
Yeah,
750 gold and 100 mana you need for that? Or is it, yeah, 850? 850. Yeah,
850 plus
yeah,
300
that's
and
like,
100 mana.
that's a huge price. Like, for a one-use spell, that's like,
I mean,
yeah.
I guess it would kind of scale with the amount of archers and whatever other unit you're going up against. There's that.
Right, it allows you, if you do it well, to push into a wall, but that completely is stopped by Castle Archer.
Okay, so we've established that uh, the Elemental's core units are pressuring, namely the tree and the Shurog, but it's more tree now. Like Wars and Castle Archer shuts that down because the Scorpions can't really get in. So we have our supplements, which is Fires and Airs. Now the problem with Fires and Air. Okay. Talking about early game, ears don't have that like have a high damage point, which means the animation, like the time between the animation and the actual attack is long, so it's easily sniped, and that makes it really vulnerable. And clunky units are micro, and then fire because of its short range, you can't chase down. So what we're talking is air, it's got a long animation, and fire, it's got like because the way the projectile curves, it can't chase units. So both of elementals, they can't actually like punish and overextend effectively from the other player.
Right, whereas maybe Chaos has Deads to stop you from just kiting you all day, and maybe Bombers to stop a bad approach. And another Order player would have Spiritmans to stop you from the same thing, and Barracks would deal back damage.
And
And Elementals really have... Oh, go ahead.
okay, and not to mention, personally, I think fires and arrows are fine early game, but then when it transitions into mid and late game, I just feel like they have a problem here. Like,
Because okay, let's compare to say order because that's my main empire, and so archers 300 gold, 15 seconds, very solid DPS, so easy to micro. They're like the bane of so many players. Now we look at elementals, for example, fire. That's 450 gold. The DPS is, and then like it's just not as viable, and the queue time is longer. Like, and above all that, the queue time is supplemented with the combinations, so you can't get the same amount of range units as Order can or Chaos can.
Right, right. And on top of that, with the whole combining thing, while they can get out tier 2 units maybe faster, they can't also get out at the same time things that those tier 2 units support. Like, for example, Merrick's and Spearmen support archers, and you can get out Merrick's and Spears at the same time as archers. You can't do that with elementals. And, well, Merrick's have that healing factor that helps Spearmen and archers.
Oh, speaking of which, what happened to the healing factor? I know it got nerfed, but can someone explain me how the new healing works for elementals now?
Well, essentially it works by number of units that it's healing at the same time, whereas before it healed, like, say, a solid 6 bars on a Chirag. That, like, it will still heal 6 bars on a Chirag if you have, like, say, 1 Chirag. But if you have maybe 3 Chirags, it'll heal 2 bars on all those Chirags instead, and it just goes down exponentially as you have more units. It still heals the same amount, but a lot less.
Okay, so basically it's like before, you hear everything by flat amount in that radius, so the more calmed up the better it is, while now there's like a limit on the heal, and it's divided by how many people there are. I also think that like the amount healed got reduced, because it feels like 2 Chirags get healed by like 1 bar from water. It's like not even viable.
Well,
Yeah.
I think there's a glitch at the moment where it counts the water itself as a unit being healed by the water that dies. So no matter what, it's always going to have 2 units and it'll split it down. Like, for example, a Chirag that would before it be healed by a flat amount, 6 bars, it's healed by 3 bars if there's just 1 Chirag. Which is completely ridiculous.
And crap, I had a brain fart. I'm sorry.
Targets. So wait, have you seen the new water, Terry, or like used it?
No,
Have
I've
you
not
it
seen
yet?
them yet. It's been a while since I've actually poked into Stick Empire, so
Oh, fair
Right,
enough.
because you took that little break, right?
yeah.
Fair enough.
Actually, personally, for me, I don't think it would be a big update for me, like encourage me to like start playing at all because they did more harm on elementals than they benefited it really.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I think they're really trying their hardest to balance, but they don't have really any idea what they're trying to balance or what effect it'll have on all matchups. They're just kind
Yeah,
of throwing ideas and seeing what
in
sticks,
a
and that's
yeah, in a way, like, and everyone's kind of being vocal but not vocal. They're like it's clearly imbalanced. Like everyone can tell, but like no one wants to really dig deep and like why is it struggling in like top matchups?
I feel that everyone has their own different opinion on what a good elementals would be. Like, say, some want just some passive changes, some want a complete redesign. That's personally what I'm in favor of, but I feel that just soft changes to elementals and how they play would probably benefit them more.
Um,
It would also not drive away players that played elementals previously.
so basically, continue on that pressure based thing, because like let's get back to like South. Um,
Right, sorry about that.
yeah, no, it was fine. And it was pretty interesting. We went through the pressure, the main source of pressure, which can't really break once the war sees set up. We've got the ranged, which isn't as effective because it's costly and you can't get enough out of them. And then, so what do you need to pressure? And that's where burst damage comes in. And elementals is really gimmicky because of that. It's like you either go all in or all out. So it's go big or go home. Say you get a big scorch on all the archers, that can be game if it's like early enough where they can't switch tick yet, or you get nothing and you just wasted 700 gold, is it? And that's the same with Infernos, Cycloids. Cycloids to a less extent, but in a way, it's still on that burst damage.
Hmm. And not to mention that most of the burst, that more or less of the burst damage, okay, Cyclone's burst damage, the tornado costs 200, so if you wanna like, so basically, if you want like more effective burst damage, or, yeah, more effective burst damage, you basically have to spend an extra gold, which is,
300, 100 is it for the
yeah,
research?
200, 100, and then for Inferno, they have their, Meteor Scorch, or whatever it was called, I don't remember the exact name.
Yeah,
That was
what was it?
300. That was
It was
300,
just meter
100, and
pool.
like that could be used. That could be
Meteor
used like.
shower.
Sorry, what were we saying?
I think it's meteor shower. Is that? I don't remember. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
status force. Go on.
I mean, although, clearly it's a spell that's not gonna hit a lot, but one thing it could do is that it could be, if you're not prepared, it could be used to delay pushes briefly, but it's not gonna be for too long though.
I think also like looking at the spellcasters Elementos has, excluding V so far, what you have to realize is like, first it's gold heavy, not mana heavy, and mana means less the longer the game goes on. And secondarily, you need to get the upgrades, which is like 300, 100 or something like that. So, meanwhile, for Medusa, for example, the stone, like the Venom Flux isn't necessary, but it's good. And then the stone just does so much. The only unit where like Marikai's Reap is like useful, but you need the like I don't know. The Helpless is like beneficial, but the Reap is also good. Like
I feel the Reap is really mostly what you would buy a Neurotype for. The
yeah,
Yeah,
health,
same here.
the Helpless needs more range.
Wait, what
well, I
needs more
mean, that's a
range?
bit off topic.
Like I mean, the Helpless needs more range to be effective, but we're going off topic now.
Like, speaking of short range, like things that are short, I feel that, like, say on Castle, while Elemental's burst damage is not really effective on a bigger map, it's absolutely ridiculous on a smaller map. For example, an Inferno can run past your second row, and because you can't wall off up to the second row, it can completely shut down all your economy with a single meteor shower. And there's nothing you can
Oh,
do about that.
Yeah, and then
yeah,
like if they
yeah,
got multiple infernos, they can just keep preoccupying your statue until you not keep preoccupying your front, to reword it, and just like keep bashing your statue until GG.
yeah. That's just like disrespecting. Get out of my game. I've got two Infernos in
I
your face. You can't do anything. Leave the
well,
game. Leave the game.
see, that's the thing though. While Elementals right now, it's very min-maxy, I guess would be not really the term, but that's what I'm going to use as the term. Right now, all of its strengths are too strong on some situations, but its weaknesses
Yeah.
are absolutely crippling in others. And that needs to
Um,
change. It needs to be more consistent. Consistent, not necessarily consistently good, but more consistent in general. And that's why I'm in favor of a complete redesign.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think complete redesign would take away some of the uniqueness of Elementals, but I think it'd be more balanced for competitive gameplay. Um,
I mean,
well, let's.
it still plays completely differently at the moment. You could still keep that while making it nice and balanced. It would just take the focus maybe away from, say, turn Inferno maybe from uh, ridiculous AOE to maybe more of a support spellcaster. Say, Dragon and Media Pool are more like Medusa Puddle, which kind of covers the retreat over a long
Yeah.
period, but not
Yeah.
to the point where it's completely
Yeah,
impossible to pressure.
Medusa. Oh, Medusa's pull is so annoying because you can get two on at the same time.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
but
Okay, anything else or?
okay, I think we should. Okay, we've talked about the pressure, but another thing I don't really like about Elementals is how counterintuitive the fusions are. Like, the
Oh my
pops
gosh,
aren't the
yes.
same.
Like,
The manas are all the same. I don't know. Like, having the mana all the same feels really
bland.
basic, but bland, and it's like it like completely puts it all on the gold. Um,
It just means you have two miners on mana, get passives, never touch mana again, just keep gold.
I think it should be I think what they should do is they should, for example, mage is 500, 400 for 5 pot. So elementals could be like 700, like say 500 mana for Inferno, give that a bit more utility and balance it around that cost. So then you'd actually need mana or something like that. But the thing is, elemental costs are so extreme, it's like hard to actually do that.
Hmm.
Maybe they could, rather than say a base mana cost on the fusion and sacrifice of the units, maybe it could be a temporary fusion while making the base elementals a bit stronger, and you just pay, say, maybe a mana cost to temporarily change into an Infernos, and you get the units back afterwards.
Wait, a temporary fusion?
Yeah, temporary fusion, maybe. Like, I feel that would, like, maybe
That
change the game a
sounds
bit more.
okay, Rain. That sounds convoluted and really, really hard to get.
Okay.
Well, like say, like Blind Gate, how right now the Blind Gate gives you back your Earth. say it would give you back your earth and your
Wait,
air
wait, wait,
afterwards,
wait, does
but
it?
it wouldn't be as strong.
Does it give back the earth? I never knew that.
Yeah, it gives back the earth as of this update. Nobody paid attention to it because it literally changed.
No one used it.
Because no one used that, except for Wisdom
it's like-
Style and
it's-
Milo.
There is
It's
one
like
bit.
fucking, what is it? That, not, the bunker upgrade in StarCraft 2. Basically, it'd be like fucking that. Nobody uses it.
I mean, I guess there is one decent one use for blind gate. It's more of a utility use actually. Is that it can prevent single targets spellcasters like Marokai's Reap or Medusa's Stoneface from functioning at all. So therefore,
Yeah,
you're
like,
basically protected from these units unless they sweep in, obviously.
But
I
it's so
didn't know
easy
that
to walk.
actually. Well, I mean, that's still pretty interesting.
No,
Though.
but I'm not gonna spend like 500 gold on that, and it's so easy to walk in and be like,
Well,
"Lol,
I mean, yeah,
got
but
vision."
like, say if you got your air back afterward, that could be definitely a viable option. I feel
Oh,
But-
yeah, I could see that.
like that's what I mean with the temporary fusions. It'd be like how Blind Gate gives you back your earth, except it'd give you back poke units. Maybe instead of Infernos being as strong as it is, it'd be a bit weaker, but it'd have a different utility. You know,
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know. I just feel
it
it's
feels like
even more counterintuitive. But what I don't like is how the populations are weird. Like sometimes they go down, sometimes they go up after fusion.
Yeah,
It's
what's
really
up with that?
I think it's more because they were trying to balance population around power instead of power around population.
right.
How around populate? Oh gosh, that.
It's like instead of like they're trying to say limit getting out a bunch of trees by making it 9 population, rather than making it 9 population because it's very powerful.
Let me just temper. I think it would be just better out to just temper around the fusions up to their more appropriate mana price, and then
Maybe it could be like the tree itself is the 5 population initially, and the Scorps themselves cost 1 population. I feel that would limit trees a bit more, you know?
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, that would actually be a better idea. That's the original Stick Wars had magic kills that would summon minions. They had that.
Right, with the 20 population, yeah.
That would have been much more balanced. Why didn't they?
Well, I mean, mages in that game were still completely imbalanced.
Can we agree? Like hindsight's 2020. So like looking back, it's way easier than when you're actually designing it.
I could see the comparison. Like, I was talking to 59 Saint Dane a long time ago when trees came out. He saw trees as a lot like Stick Wars 1 mages. They have a stun ability and an ability to summon free units, which was, at the time, absolutely ridiculous. It still was, too. Trees are
Go
still
trees
very
or
good.
go home. That account was so fun.
Yeah. But also with the population cost being 9 on trees, while trees themselves, they can pressure, you have to use trees to pressure. It just
I think
like
this
you need a good amount of trees, but when you have a good amount of trees, there's no way to get out units to follow up on the pressure.
Yeah, it just
It's a big weakness.
You know, here's another problem with trees. You can put a tree in your garrison, and you can like literally send out garrison. You can literally send out scorpions from there.
you don't even need that because Castle Elemental.
Yeah, true.
Oh.
I guess I feel like that's like more of an exploit rather than like a function you can use to your advantage. I feel like the way they could patch that is make it so that scorpions can only go like a certain distance away from the tree, or would that make them underpowered?
I think people
are
just
you still
move their
able to,
trees to your base. Like people just move the trees next to you, so then they can Death Blossom you at your base, and then they can like move trees straight away. And then whenever a tree gets low, they make a new tree, and then like they just keep cycling.
Right, but to punish that, all you need, like in the early game, to punish that, you would just build a couple swords, and if they get too close, they're right at your base, and you can stream out swords. And in the late game, to punish that, you have mages, which just completely stop that.
Yeah. Okay, but you know that population of trees? That's kind of why Elemental can't pressure either, because no one cares about pop until you hit 80-80. Then you go, oh, I can't build anything more, and suddenly you're stuck with that amount of trees. And if you couldn't do that earlier,
Not to mention you
why would
can't
you
make
be
any
able
more
to do that?
waters as well.
Right, so the trees cannot sustain themselves and they cannot do anything on their own, but you cannot do anything without them either. And to have, if you get out trees, like say you get out 1 to 2 trees, that's a wasted investment because scorpion is not enough to break. You need more trees. Say 3 or 4 trees. Well, now you can't get enough waters to keep your fire tree force healed.
The more I play, the more I feel like Elementals actually has no answer to Mage. Like, people go like, hey guys, V, but V's so much gold, and it instantly blocks that pressure anyway, which the Mage is trying to stop. If they try to get a V to stop that Mage, then they don't have the pressure there.
Well, V
It's
is
essentially the same. It's like the
debatably
same cost
good.
as I mean, debatable.
Well, V, although they can't fight against swords and archers, which are cheaper units, they could go against giants and magicals since its possession ability. But the same thing kind of goes with the chaos and order giants as well, though. So
Well,
No, but it's more
I
like,
see trees as I see V as more like an upgraded tree. What I feel is that the free units, the clones, when they're upgraded, they tank a lot of archer shots, and the
and they do a lot
DPS
of
they do is
damage.
actually
yeah,
really
they do
good.
take a lot.
Yeah. So
Actually,
that's essentially what you need to transition into a late game. But they cost the same as a giant essentially, and they're one-shotted by Medusa and like Shinobi. So it's essentially like if a giant could be one-shotted by a ninja.
the more you
Wait,
guys talk about this, like the more you guys talk about, like I forgot about that, but yeah, Elementals is like make free units or we're screwed because look at the actual units. Um,
They cost
like
too much to be
yeah, they cost too
cost-effective.
much to throw away.
yeah. So is do you guys think that that the base units, earth, water, air, and vice versa, do you think all the price should stay as they are, or should something be done with it, or?
I don't think
Like,
the early units are even effective. Like say, like in the early game, Order has swords, Chaos has crawlers, Elementals has stun and do 1 damage.
yeah, can we? That's a really accurate way of describing it. But I feel like elemental matchups, they're like so boring in the early game. Like, I'll just look at my 3 main matchups. Order vs. Order, you have fine control interaction between swords and archers. Um, between Order and Chaos, you have like NM cancels and stuff. Like between both players, it's like, and you just kind of snipe cats and stuff. It's trying to get those snipes. It's interactive. You always feel like, and like, if one player loses their footing, they can run in bombs, or you can get swords in. It's exciting. When you have elementals, big 3 earths. Oh, whoops, they've got an archer. Let's just go garrison and castle elemental, and then that's the early game done.
And then let's make an unpressurable economy. I could just like, say my Earth is on 1 HP. I could just put it right on the front row. What are you going to do? If you come in and try to kill it, you're dead. And I've lost a miner while you've lost a 300 gold archer, which you need to stop my trees later. If you don't, basically both players have to just eco up and maybe Order makes a couple archers, maybe a sword. You cannot pressure into elementals, and they cannot pressure into you or the game.
Speaking from a player perspective, it's also really tilting when you lose like an archer to either a castle elemental or like a death blossom. You're just like, really? Like, really?
And I mean, I don't play as much as I used to, so from a spectator perspective, seeing all of this, it's very, very boring to watch. Very boring.
What
Yeah,
about you, Terry? You haven't like played in a while, so what are your thoughts?
yeah. I feel like something needs to be done to like amp up Elemental's gaming a bit. I mean, like, um, a, a revamp, which is actually Wiz's idea, by the way. I guess a revamp. I do not know. I feel like it's still possible to balance Elementals in the current state, but it will be just very difficult since it's just a very different empire from Order and Chaos. Um, like so, yeah.
Um, Yeah, going. That's elementals in general. Since like they were introduced,
Oh yeah, not
they've always.
oh hold on, sorry.
Oh, go on.
Okay, I almost forgot to mention. Another thing about elementals. We mentioned this earlier, but just to mention again. Elementals their units tend to have like two great strength, but in exchange, their weaknesses are just too big as well. But I mean, like the weaknesses and strength are so big, it doesn't just it just doesn't balance out. Like I don't
Great
know how to describe
units.
how, but it just doesn't. It just
Yeah. That's the thing. Well, like, with other empires, if they've got weaknesses, they complement each other, or they make up in other shortcomings. For example, Deads. They're pretty clunky, but they do solid damage, and they have lots of HP. You can just cycle the Deads around. And then you look at Elementals units, and it's kind of like, wow, okay.
All two bars basically all the same health except Earth, which has slightly more, which is not very obvious from a player perspective first time you see them. Oh, they have two bars. Oh, it must be the same health as the sword. But no, they take a million archer shots early on.
Yeah, I feel like Earths are really tanky.
Well, I
right.
mean, they are, but once you get, like, say, into the mid game, you're like, oh, you have an Earth? Why isn't it a miner? Why haven't you fused it? Sniped, 150 gold gone.
No, like, I'm comparing it to a sword, and it's like the sword feels like it dies so much faster than the Earth, so it feels really, um, clunky. It feels really bad to face Earths,
I
if you get
mean,
what I
like a sword still 1v1s in Earth and wins, even with the stun factor, which is pretty bad.
mean. Can we
yeah, that's
agree?
just it.
Sorry.
Not to
Ca-
mention not to mention that Earth also costs more than swords. That's no.
And crawlers,
I
especially
actually don't think it
crawlers.
wins. I think it's like 50-50 or something, or I don't remember. But, can we agree that stun blocks are the stupidest thing ever?
Well, right, and you can get out Earth so fast that it just, like, say,
Yeah,
oh, you're pressuring in with swords and I don't have a CE, or maybe you have a spear sitting there. Oh, well, I could just make a couple Earths either way.
And then the moment you get out, whoops, 5 miners back. Like, you can put on orders pressure to order, and or chaos. They're forced to make units to, or like, start another defensive measure. Earths, like elementals, attack offensive and defensive measure in the early game. It's like, it's the same thing.
Right, and say, like, on Desert, you can just 3 Earths start, get free tower, run in there, kill a miner or two, run out, have all of them alive, and then just buy a CE, fuse all of them into Eco, and you're insanely ahead. And that's the problem with elementals on short maps. They get ahead of you so fast that you can't stop them because you need time to kill elementals, which is the big weakness.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
really stupid. Just go on, Terry.
Okay,
My bad.
okay. Besides, whose idea was it to make Earths have a quint time of 4 seconds?
It's
I think
kind
they
of
wanted to
because
make
no.
them competitive with miners because they're also the elementals miner, which is kind
I mean, not to mention that. I mean, they elementals can actually pull in miners faster than other empires. If you guys haven't noticed.
right. And if they get a couple miners sniped in the early game, it's not too big a deal because they can max out their first throw so fast you can't do a thing about it.
Um, okay, so let's talk about what elementals have brought. Like recently, we've got a giant tree discussion, and it's giant tree. So
That thread's just
Giant
silly.
tree. Oh, I honestly, I don't. Giant tree.
what?
Just no, no,
One
no.
sec, I'll link it. No. But even Mystery, he's a really good player. Okay.
I imagine like
Like Mister
but
Mystery's like um why I suggest trees to be elemental giant, and he's like I think if it functionally balanced, it'd be really stupid from a spectator's perspective, and it wouldn't be fun to play as a balance, like as a player perspective, even if it's balanced. Like, it feels so stupid. Oh, how do we fix elementals? Give them a giant tree.
I feel like it'd be like have you ever seen in Harry Potter that what is it called, the Whomping Willow? I just imagine that when you mention giant tree, it makes me giggle.
If you haven't seen the thread guides, I just linked it in the chat. Yeah.
Right, and guys listening, we'll link that in the description so you guys can follow along with what we're saying here. And we'll maybe put a few other relevant links in the description for what we were saying earlier. So basically, to sum it up, elementals are gimmicky. They don't really have any cost-effective units, and they can't really compete over time. But they completely just overrun you on the short map.
In a way, elementals in a vacuum, it looks really good until you start putting it into game scenarios, and it's like, oh, order archer can infinitely kite fire, and because their projectiles are so curvy and slow, they can't hit the archer.
Right,
Things
but
like that.
if they do end up getting a hit on you, you're instant kill.
Yeah, exactly. That's ridiculous. That's all in or all out.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's basically it. So, any last words, Terry?
Any last what? Sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
Any last
Like,
words? Because we're
like we're
basically
just trying
wrapping
to
this
wrap
up.
up the topic, yeah.
Well, I think we've covered practically everything at this point.
Right, it'd just be repeating ourselves. So,
Yeah.
moving on from elementals, our next topic was going to be here, elbow usage in the current metagame. What do we think on that?
Albow viability, like, I don't know, got a lot of attention lately, because Wisdom, who, I don't know, he's like gone now, but he's like one of the top players, and he was like making an ult called Albow 6 City, and he was just playing around with Albows.
It was
trying to get 230.
I think you misread the, it was
I think-
Albatrocity, like an atrocity.
Oh, Albatrocity. I'm sorry, I'm too used to 6 City. It's so cool. Yeah, so basically, he's trying to get 230 elbows out. He's like, you can take straight into elbows, and it'll be a viable mid-game unit. So yeah, thoughts?
Well, I mean, I feel kind of like it's, remember that resurgence of Rage in OVC when, was it, I think it was
Khan.
it Aang? That was, yeah.
Khan Wisdom.
And Khan, Wisdom, and Aang, basically.
Yeah, I remember, and they brought it up. I remember having one replay versus Hin where it worked. Oh, shoutouts to Hin 0123 by the way. Yeah, like it kind of worked, and then people were like, "I'll just make more archers," and we were like, "Yeah."
As if that's gonna help. Well, okay, I think
Terry, did you ever see a replay of like how it worked?
not really, but I think what kind of like made the Albows a bit more useless is because of the update where they implemented the fire debuff. I mean, they're still they still deliver pretty good DPS with their fire, but I guess the fire just kind of like, I think they killed off their base DPS when they implemented the fire to like kind of make up for.
Right.
So
whereas before, say like 3 elbows could cost effectively kill 5 wings, which was very good. But after that nerf, the fire, the burn damage just kind of spread out. Like what they did was they traded about, I think it was 3/4 of the damage. That's their base damage now, was 3/4 of what it was before, and the other 1/4 is made up by burn. But when you're single targeting on, say, a giant, you're just doing 3/4 of the damage you used to do, plus a bit of burn damage, which is easily healed off.
Yeah.
They're not as good at breaking into a stall, and they're just not as cost effective as they used to be. And most importantly, I feel they're not time effective. Their queue time is just too long to be used effectively.
24 seconds, yeah.
We'll just get some stats. They're 2 bars of armored, and that armored, it like makes them a bit vulnerable to like armor hitting, like but yeah, just a bit tanky in general. Its speed, it can't really retreat. It's like medium lowish. Like, so basically you can't get a bad engagement. And that's one of the things that put off auto players using it, because, okay, you mess up an engagement, you've got no spare. Wow, that's game. And costs 450 gold, 200 mana. That's hard to take into, and as Rain said before, training time, 24 seconds, like, what do these values need to make it viable? Or is it already viable, and we're just not using them properly?
That could be a possibility. But if it's not being viable, then I guess what we can do, or what we could suggest, that is maybe make them deal like a little extra damage against burning units, so that way we can bring back that other um what was it? The other missing damage before the burn beep debuff patch. Or would that
Oh, wait. What do
Oh,
you mean like?
wait, maybe like that'd be kind of interesting. Maybe
Do,
I
do you
could see
mean do
like
you mean a flat damage increase, or do you mean like
flat
burn?
base increase?
The
Not
more
like
burn on
not
the
burning debuff increase, but the flat damage increase against
no,
burning
because
no what?
damage.
you
Not
just
nothing
gave me
too
an
big, but
idea.
like a little like just enough to scale back to like back how it originally was.
Okay, you just gave me an idea. So because order has lots of burn, right? So you could say
Well, yeah,
that the
that's what I
more like
was thinking. Like,
the more burn is stacked on a unit, then the more damage it takes. So like, for example, you get a blast off on a thing, then you put fire arrows on top of that, then suddenly it does even more damage. Like that could be a really interesting concept, and it
I
could
I
make
was
elbows stronger in mass.
I was thinking maybe instead of like in a stacking burn, that's pretty interesting too, by the way. But what I was thinking was like make blazing bolts into an activated ability, maybe a low cooldown activated ability that burns units and does more damage against, or elbows will passively do more damage against burning units. So that way, like you could say do a mage blast or something and just burn them, and then
Yeah.
the elbows will come in and finish them off. Like say maybe something not. I guess 200% damage increase would maybe be a bit ridiculous, but it would
Yeah, that's
also
too
encourage
much.
a bit more with
I
mages or
think
something, you know?
I think when you this is something I like when I was reading on Serlin Low, like it's like if you buff something, you have to buff it lots so that people start using it and then they can tout like otherwise no one's gonna use it. So yeah, I don't think it'd be ridiculous to start with that value.
Okay, what about the elbow speed? Do you guys think it's okay as it is, or?
Well, I mean, the elbows as they are, they're pretty decent speed. It's enough to chase down things like giants, merrics, and basically what it's enough to speed to break a stall or a retreating player, but it's not quite enough to say compete with archers or chase down retreating spears, and
Okay.
especially ninjas.
We should okay. Let's just go back to viability. We've talked about the stats quite a bit now. So
Right.
Wisdom believes that if you want to use elbows, you have to go in straight away. So he's got 230 elbows macro, and he's been working on that build. Um, I've been when asked, I've one sec.
I think Daz is a bit indisposed here.
Yeah.
I'll try to fill in for what he's saying. Essentially, he's saying that elbows, well, I think what he's saying is, elbows, if you go into them right away, I think that they can't really compete. They have no way to pressure into an archer player, and you can just build up archers. Whereas if you go to them reactively, like say if they're building too many spears, they're maybe turtling up on a wall, you can go into elbows to break through that, and then you have a good base of DPS plus whatever archers you had before. If you just go straight away into elbows, you'll get picked off by archers too quickly.
Yeah, sorry, I'm back. That was just like brief, and I heard the last of that. So my thoughts personally on that. Okay, there's two ways. An archer trade in the mid game, like early mid game, when you get your first bear out, you can initiate an elbow because it gives that extra time to get a strong economy, so then you can start streaming it straight away, and you just reset the arch count. So that's big. Either that, or and if you got elbows earlier, then in the late game, if you go after trade and you want to get pop out fast, you want to get elbows. You can just stream them out along with the giants.
Right. I used to see them as more of a late game recovery unit after a giant trade. It allows
Yeah.
you to say maybe when you lost a giant, you could go into a couple more elbows. But the problem with that is if you aren't losing, say, 2, 3 giants in a big battle, like say it's a big even battle, you are still popping four population every time you build one, which is not population effective as giants are. They still do a lot of damage for their cost at that point, but
Yeah,
the
Yeah, not to
population
mention the
is
price
too
cost
high.
as well. That's going to waste.
Right. I mean, I feel that they're pretty cheap in the late game. 200 mana, 450 gold. That's pretty good. I mean, it's like a bit more than a Merrick, and maybe you'd want a Merrick more to give your giants more staying power.
except if you haven't already established elbows, that's 850, 200, but it's like not worth it then by then. Cause you'd rather just get giants or merrics.
Right. So essentially the only real, like, super, maybe not super viable, but the most viable way to use them is after an archer trade to pick off Spiritans, because that's what you would really do after an archer trade, is go harass the economy.
I've done it. I've done it versus either like strong players, but not top players. You can do it versus them, because their macro is just not as enough to pump out those archers and really deal with the Albows. Because honestly, their damage is ridiculous. If you see how they melt spears when you get 3 or 4, yeah. And the second thing is to punish like players who aren't as archer heavy. But the thing is, those two people I use them on, they're not top. I've tried it versus Mystery. Doesn't work. Like, it just doesn't work.
Right.
Because he's just so good on archer control.
But I think the problem is the 200 mana at that point in the game is better spent in Merrics. If you don't have the Merrics, you're gonna just be picked off by archers, harassed, kited down, and when a mage comes out, you won't have the necessary healing factor to stop the poison from wearing you down to where archers can pick you off.
Yeah, but okay, if you're trying to spend both, Albows and Merrics, you would need a pretty big mana eco.
Right, and you're not going to get that in a mid-game archer trade. Where
and possibly big gold eco as well.
Right.
Yeah, that's the problem. Okay, like say you've got Albows and Albows plus spears versus spear archer. The thing is, spear Albows tank damage, and then they can't really, like, a few archer volleys will kill an Albow, right? But like they can't retreat, and spears, it's hard to tank for something in the air, while archers, it's easily tankable. So you need the Merrics, but then the Merrics are like more mana, more costs.
Like, you need at least 3 Spiritans to completely block the air, and even then you need to be right up on them in spear wall to really effectively tank that. Or you need to be pressing down on the archers, and then they can just retreat and kite you down at that point. And you don't have the Merrics to necessarily make a push on that because of the Albow you're expending in the the mana you're expending in the Albows. You can't get Merrics out.
Yeah, you can stream Spear Archer Merric almost non-stop, like with a few stops, but Spear Albow Merric, that's just too much. Like, you can't. Yeah, no.
It's like the old argument that Ninja Albow is an effective build, but the mana cost and gold is just too high. You need to completely turtle from the early game to do it. Like with Wisdom, I can see why Wisdom thought what he did, but even then, say Ninja Albow, you have the DPS to break things through because of the ninjas. But with just straight Albow Spear, you don't have the DPS to deal with archers, and you don't have anything to deal with mages. Albows in general, that's just the problem. They have the DPS, but they can't get out enough of them for them to make a difference.
So basically, they lack DPS, not too much to deal with, but a little bit, or in between, a little bit moderate.
Well, see, the thing is, you could make Albows twice the damage they're at now. They're still gonna get killed by archers. They just can't compete with the cost and the time queue. Like, say you make 2 Albows, I can have out
4.
I guess it's
probably 4.
4 archers. 4 archers, yeah.
Because you can start queuing them earlier, and you'll have some from early game.
Right, and on top of that, I have the gold left over. Whereas you're expending 450, I can get a spear out on top of that and a couple Merrics. And you're not going to be able to break through that without a stronger economy. And the only way to get a stronger economy is to turtle off the early game. Yeah, essentially. Or after the archer trade, you lead into a turtle from the archer trade. That's pretty much the only way you're going to get out Albows.
Have we covered everything here, or?
Except even then, okay, let's talk about turtling, right? You've got your spears in front of your wall, in front of your second gold row. Okay, they'll have archers aiming at they'll try to aim for the Albows if they can, so you have to keep your Albows back. But then they'll keep their spears back, just like close enough to the archers so they can tank. So then your Albows are kind of like doing empty shots unless you push in, and then you lose that 40% damage reduction. It's like really easy to break with an archer, to be honest. Spear Archer Merit.
Plus, with the archers, you don't have to commit. you can just keep kiting them down and spacing them out. Because you have to push, whereas they don't have to push. They can just make a protracted siege on your wall.
Power of damage, 0 damage point, and speed, guys.
Plus, the healing factor, you're going to have more mercs out than them just by virtue of them going Albows.
Got any thoughts, Terry?
No, not at the moment.
Well, I think that about covers it, unless you guys had some other thoughts.
Yeah, nothing else is coming in my head.
It's like,
I
say,
think,
maybe if we had, like...
Wisdom was trying to go for 101. I don't know if he got that, but he got like 71 or so. The problem with Albows, also, if you don't want to pressure straight away, you can just go into Giants, okay? I was one game versus Wisdom when he was trying to Albow. I was like, I had some okay pressure, but I didn't have enough archers out, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna eco hard. I'm just gonna pump Giants out. And by the time he started pushing out, because you don't want to commit as Albows and suddenly realize, oh, I can't do this, because you can't back away. You're just screwed. So I had like 6 Giants against two Giants of his just coming in with Tower Spawn 2 and Albows, and like with the support and the mage and so forth, you just can't break into that. Giants are just too good and too tanky.
Right, because you sacrifice tower and you're being sieged, so your second row is not necessarily vulnerable, but being under attack. Plus, you can't get as much gold as them. You can't get out the same amount of giants because you're on mana all the time to get out enough mercs and Albows to compete with their archers.
Yeah, if you're pumping Albows, you can't pump giants. That's kind of it.
That's basically it.
In the long game, giants over Albows.
Well, yeah, giants and archers, because with the archers, I mean, they're not necessarily as cost-effective as giants, but you're not going to be able to kill them if they have mercs out and you don't have archers to compete.
Yeah, and if they're being tanked by giants.
Yeah, and let's look at another thing, okay? Say you've only got Albows left in the late game, you've got no money, okay? You're screwed. You're just screwed, okay? If you've got 4 rows of archers in the late game, have you seen the stores people do with CA3? And then you just G-kite in and out with archers? Okay.
Like, I've seen a couple, like, not necessarily top players, but pretty strong, recognizable players, like Yoshi 1996, is it?
Oh, yeah, that's, who is that? Is that Arabian champ? Or is that Alcomand or something?
No, that's, I think he's just his own account, Yoshi 1996. He's,
I remember he's a different account. Like,
well, I mean, I guess I don't really know, but I've seen him play a lot, and he plays a very archer-heavy style. I wouldn't say quite a Mikkel style, but it's leaning towards that.
Like, the problem with tons of archers, you actually can't kill it. Like, Albows, you can, but archers, like, with a few mercs, they just keep alive, and then they have such speed, they can kite in, kite out, and then heal for 1 second, get in, get out. And I've seen games where I've thrown games where I'm at a winning position, and they just go, yeah, okay, I'll just CA3, get archers, and I'm like, okay, I need to get enough giants to buffer all that, get enough mercs to heal all that damage off, get a mage, get enough mages to dodge out a shinobi and to zone him out into his base. I need to do all these things just to deal with his archers? Are you serious? And that's the same with Chaos.
That's redundant.
It's not necessarily a guarantee you will win, because you're also giving him time to get out those same things, plus maybe a wall with the CA3. You can't kill his mercs with your ninjas. Besides that, you're going to get kited down by, say, 2, 3, maybe even rows of archers. That's just, you can't compete with that DPS unless you have archers who match it. And even with mages, the poison is not going to be able to stop 2, 3 mercs. I mean, with that amount of archers, maybe a couple will die every time, but the damage you're taking is not going to
Yeah, exactly. A couple die, like, they approach, my giant stuns one, and then it gets shot down by my own, like, say, 4 or 5 archers. Cool. You got 1 archer, 300 gold. But you tank, like, tons of damage on a giant. It just doesn't work out for you, because they can just keep G-carding in. Sometimes they'll use their mercs attack, and then that kind of works out. It's like, eh.
Essentially, yeah. Basically, that's the...
Basically, we've got, Albows, they're okay mid-game, but, like, Elbow archers are just so much power, and they're usable throughout the whole early, mid, late game.
Yeah,
In basically every
especially
matchup.
especially if you mass a lot of archers. Unless you're mass experienced, there isn't much you can do against it.
I honestly
Well,
think,
even then, even if
um,
you have Spiritans out, you can't press without your own archers because the Spiritans are not going to, like, they're slightly faster, but that's still enough to get kited down to where if you approach, you maybe kill a couple archers, but you take massive damage on all of them.
Yeah, it's not
I
like
think what needs to happen is rather than Albows get a buff, because Albows a decent, maybe like a minor buff, because like they could easily be very powerful if in the right conditions, or like they're allowed to be set up. But I think it's rather archers need its options limited, and I think that might be in a slight speed reduction, so swords and spears can catch easier. Like spears can
Maybe,
catch kinda,
maybe.
but yeah.
maybe like a, maybe if you want to go for the extreme option, right now, archers and wings to an extent can kite you down infinitely. So maybe we want to increase the damage point to where you can't instantly kite every time. You maybe have to
The
stop
thing is,
each kite.
I don't like to reduce damage point because damage point it makes it feel like the unit is flexible and fast. Um, there are units with
Oh,
good damage point design. Like I like deads. Deads feel really they don't feel clunky. They feel like it's part of the process on micro. But some units dead damage point is just a pain on. Ah, that's
airs, for
air
example.
element. Yeah, air elemental is like so bad.
Well, maybe instead of a damage point increase, because that would be very extreme. It would completely change how order is played. Maybe a speed reduction for archers so they can't infinitely kite down
Yeah,
swords
that's what I'm
and
thinking.
spears.
Like
That doesn't sound
a speed
sound like a
reduction.
bad idea.
And then they can't chase as effectively, and they can't dodge effectively. Then maybe we might see a bit more raid strategy because I've used it, but like I've actually used it versus Mist before. I didn't come out. It's not like I came out ahead, but I didn't come out behind. If that makes sense. Um, yeah. Yeah.
Well, what about, I mean, I feel like if we were to reduce speed on archers, though, that would maybe cripple order in the OVE matchup. But that's back to an issue of elementals being elementals.
God, yeah,
That's the main.
Yeah.
definitely. Um. Uh. So going on from this, like, say we don't change anything now, like to both spice up the game and balance it a little. Do you think a 10th unit for order, if we introduce one, what would it be? Which queue would it be in, so forth?
A
Well, I
tenth
feel like
unit.
right now order lacks, say, maybe options in the melee department. Right now we have swords, which are basically the only option if you want to go for a melee heavy strategy. I mean, you could go ninjas, but really, we all know ninjas are for Shinobi, and we
Hey,
all know are
shut up,
the
Ray.
archers.
Okay, ninjas are best units, so don't mock them. I use them every game.
Okay.
Yeah, the ninjas are actually pretty
All right,
good. Don't underestimate them.
I mean, yeah, but that's their main use is Shinobi. They're really good. Like, say against giants, yeah, I can respect that. But you don't necessarily use them as a melee
Until you
unit
get
as you
like
would say swords. Like,
until you get like 5 giants, and then ninjas just become bad because you can't fixate properly.
right. But
Oh, okay, but
anyway, I was thinking maybe a 10th unit could be some sort of mid-game melee unit. Something maybe faster to counteract, say, big masses of ranged units, or maybe Chaos's Dead Turtle. Something that could break through that, maybe.
Okay,
But I mean, they already have that in the form of archers.
I
Like,
personally,
this would come after, say, an archer nerf, you know? Like, that's what I would say. Like, maybe a more melee-focused order if archers were nerfed.
I've thought about like similar to the siege tank in like StarCraft. It's a really interesting concept because the way you have to um like because it takes time to get into okay. So basically, how it works in StarCraft, it's a long range artillery unit. Um, and then it's got two modes, siege and like tank mode. So basically, when you siege, it takes time to get in, and then it can't move, but it extends its range, increases its damage, and has an AOE. So while it's out of tank mode, it's kinda meh. While it's in, it's good, but you can't push with it. It just fortifies a position. So I think a long range unit like that would to take down archers. I've been thinking maybe same tier as a mage perhaps, and then like a mana unit like 300, 250, and then it's like a channeler. So like that goes with the theme of stick powers. It like takes 4 seconds to channel into the spell, and then you press Q and use it like a mage, like an extended blast.
So like it would maybe,
and they kind of just siege down.
so maybe do some AOE to fortify a position, or maybe like take a turtley position and maybe bust into that.
Yeah, so that, like it has to be careful because no, like I don't want it to do too much damage. The idea is that it kind of weakens archers, so then you can follow it up with like say a poison would be more effective because they're so like because normally with Merrick's, once you have a few out, poison kind of becomes obsolete to be honest.
Yeah.
But if you say do a blast, reduces their HP a little, then poison, then it might not get around curing all the archers in time. So the idea is it shuts down archers, honestly, because G-cutting archers are like a nightmare.
It seems like we've come to a common theme around this podcast that archers are very much the center of gameplay at the moment.
Yeah.
Well,
All matchups that involve order.
honestly, as basically like a really strong order player right now, it has to be archers. You can try anything else, and it just doesn't work that well. Like even deads, which is supposed to like soft counter, doesn't really work.
Okay. Well, my idea for a 10th unit, well, that's really a rough concept, really. It's a unit that it's both a melee and a ranged unit. It can basically switch between the two. There are upsides of making it being a ranged unit, but downsides being a range. Okay. Well, hold on. Sorry. My brain fart. There are upsides and downsides of being a melee unit. There are also upsides and downsides of being a ranged unit to kind of balance it out. Also, another thing is that like. They and also they can't switch too frequently. It's just a rough concept. And I was thinking maybe they could be like put in like early through mid game or just mid game in general. I don't know.
So what's the concept of the like? What are you trying to do with this unit? Which
So
it doesn't currently have.
I think like a fast melee unit that could switch between melee and range, I think is what he's suggesting.
Yeah, something like that actually.
I think switching between modes is an interesting idea because it means you have situations where you get caught out, and that's why my sieging idea with the channeler that's kind of what I was going for. If it's
right.
like if they're trying to like say move forward and try to push you back in that 4, 6, 8 second window, push in, try to get the claps you can. Oh my god, I'm using claps. God damn it, wisdom.
I thought we took like a huge discussion that you didn't like that term before we recorded.
Yeah, I didn't like claps, but wisdom uses it in a stream. Like snipe.
So
like,
basically,
trying to get those units while they're trying to move forward.
So basically, like rather than just a 0 damage point unit that's really hard to counterplay, you would suggest something that's maybe different, that you would have some counterplay to it. Like maybe switching between archers, ranged and melee would have some kind of time thing, like the siege, but maybe not that slow. But slow enough to be vulnerable during the switch.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I just realized the problem with my idea. I haven't figured out what role it would specifically have.
I think like pressuring in during maybe not the early game, but before a lot of archers come out, you could get some damage done and maybe rush down archers while like switching back and maybe kiting back out swords. That I imagine it maybe like armored 2-bar, like an armored sword, so it takes a bit less from archers, but
yeah,
so will get wrecked by melee units.
Yeah,
I really like. Okay, this is like another idea I was thinking, but I didn't think it fit the role as well as a siege unit, which has weaknesses but obvious strengths. Like units with weaknesses and strength, not like all-round archers, which is really nifty because it's just all strong. I feel like
to be honest, at the moment, archers are kind of like how warhounds were in Heart of the Swarm beta.
Ew, love warhounds.
Yeah, you just make a bunch of warhounds, and what are you going to do against it? They're faster than you, and you can kite them. They can kite you, rather.
Like it's a catch-all unit, like archers. The only thing that really mitigates them is mages, but if you're not bad or there's not like huge amounts of lag, you shouldn't be running into their spells.
Yeah, basically.
So yeah, I was thinking like maybe a melee unit that's like fast melee unit, like you said, and then like when it attacks, it cloaks for 1 second, like Shinobi cloak, like but except without that extra damage. So the idea is if you can get a chase on, like, and it could like snipe archers for example, or maybe like every kill it cloaks for 2 to 3 seconds. So
Maybe
like
maybe like
the idea is like
maybe
you're trying to snipe them.
maybe you could replace ninjas in the queue. Like you could have maybe say a cross between a sword rat and a ninja, and that would kind of fit the lore as well as ninjas are supposed to be like sword rat that took a different path or whatever as the campaign said.
Yeah, that would fit
Essentially,
more.
it'd be like it's they come like swords, but they're a bit faster, maybe hunch, and they cloak as they hit. And instead of that, or I mean, not instead of that, but as you head into the late game, those could upgrade into ninjas as you needed them, maybe, and it would cost time and money to
maybe
do
like
that.
a
And with
maybe
when it
like
goes
a
into a ninja,
like
it'd be like ninjas are now. Go
maybe
on.
like a warping Archon type thing. They just like warp in.
Oh, sure, like
Like
two.
say you have to research something for like say like 100 or something, and then like takes 60 seconds or something. So it restricts you getting out fast, and then you can morph it in for say an additional 50 mana or whatever, and they can like kind of work from there.
Yeah, and then you gotta buy Shinobi and stuff for them to like
You
go into
know,
cloak mode from.
it's ridiculous how all our unit ideas are sort of based around shutting down archers in the mid game.
Yeah, that's essentially
Except mine
what you
doesn't have a
need,
specific
though.
goal, honestly.
Well, I mean, in other matchups too, some of these units, like say that idea Terry, or I mean not Terry, but Daz threw out, or was it Daz? Which was it? The
With the
cross,
siege, the
oh, the
channel,
cloak, or no, the cloak, cloaking swords, or whatever.
was that you? Oh yeah,
Cloak
that
on
was
hit.
also mine. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
also
but
mine.
Yeah, that was
Those were
I
like
Daz.
feel
two
like
ideas.
it. I don't know if it would work in matchups other than order versus order. I mean, against Deads, that's kind of crazy, and I mean, I'm not sure what Chaos could do to counterplay that.
I mean, what if Chaos had their own 10th unit? Okay, maybe I'm going a little too far.
I
Well,
think we should do that next podcast maybe, where we talk
next
about chaos.
podcast, maybe.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think this one's run a little bit long, though.
yeah.
So, okay.
Should
In
we
the
just talk about the
future,
application of other matchups? Like,
right now,
how would it
or
work in other matchups, like right now? Because we're
okay.
not
Well,
going
I
to
mean,
run into them.
the channeler would maybe be a way to break through trees, like an overly, maybe not an overly aggressive, but
I
a
think
tree player.
Elementals is way bigger problems than a channeler. Okay.
Well, I
Yeah.
know. I'm saying that it would be an interesting unit in that matchup because it would allow you to pressure in early if you could get it out early, rather than just sitting there waiting for them to do something.
I think in chaos, it'd be a nice buffer. It like gives splits a thing as well, like splits past early game where you like deal with bombs in OVC.
Maybe
It
like
force the chaos fighter split.
the channeler, maybe max 3 of AoE, and it'd be an interesting option against deads in place of just mass 30 archers. But you could maybe force them to split up as you go in with say,
Yeah.
swords or something.
Yeah, and like perhaps you could put like a second like a second damage point, not huge, but like kind of like the spell damage points. But because it's got such long range, it's got a lot of options, and it's like hard to split. So like you don't, it's like just enough time to split, but not really. So you still get hit. It's not like dodging poison, like where you can just dodge it if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Maybe channelers, as they like, maybe they have to go into attack mode to use their long range things, like a siege tank. And while they're in attack mode, they can't move. And to get out of attack mode, it takes like
Yeah,
7
so like say
seconds
they like
to-
put out a ritual like triangle thing or like a circle that takes 4
Like some
seconds to
kind
put that
of-
up. Yeah, and then like it takes 4 seconds to take that back down.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
that way it can't.
And then just like the
They can't just
traditional
run away.
and just like the traditional siege tanks, they would not be able to attack units too close, right? Or
Yeah, I
Well,
think that'd be
yeah.
cool because they could
Like
because
friendly
they could
fire
get
AoE.
broken.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, maybe if it did friendly fire AoE, it would stop you from
Oh, that could
running in
that
with
could put
swords.
emphasis on melee comps then, because melee comps they could run in and they wouldn't have to like you know? They could just hit
Right,
the
but
Canada.
maybe we're just right now we're too focused on anti-archer that we completely neglect range counts because archers are a thing and we can't really compete with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
oh, yeah.
interesting.
Actually, I don't think. Speaking of which, if we're trying to make a 10th unit as a legitimate idea, I mean, if we are, but if we're trying to put it as a legitimate idea, I don't think it would be too bad of an idea. I mean, elementals technically already have 10 units to fight with, anyways. Well, technically
If you
11.
count blind gate. If blind
Blind
gate.
gate, no.
I'm not counting Blind Gate.
I mean, I guess they have chomplers, so that makes 12 if they have blind gate.
Well, yeah, 12. Technically 12.
No, listen, Terry, Castle Elemental doesn't count as an offensive unit.
What? Of course,
Are
I
you
know
sure
better
that?
than that.
Are you sure? Because it's basically goes to tower.
Oh,
on
and
Castle,
Castle. Okay. On a serious note, the number of units doesn't matter though, to be honest.
Yeah, I
It really
guess
does.
so.
It's
I mean,
about
it
what
does
the
put a
unit
little more
can do.
diversity, but
I mean, you still get people trying like elementals has too many options or something. How do I counter this? This is ridiculous.
I think it emphasized the, I think it emphasized the style of order where you like run and shoot, like you try to kite them in, snipe the archers, and then channel or strengthen the style where you like hunker down on Merrick's and shield wall plus bash, kind of like
Right. I think
positioning battle over fine control.
Right. I think right now also that elementals. I think initially what the developers were going for is say like a dynamic fluid kind of race that like fusions on the fly is a really
Yeah, and
interesting
yeah,
idea
you
in
can
practice,
switch no matter what.
but right now it doesn't really do that in practice because you need to go trees no matter what, and that
Yeah,
restricts your
I feel
options
like
completely.
elementals would be really fun if it was like a run and gun, like OVO without shield wall, where you just try to go in and like snipe and so forth. If you could run in with like say earths and then like fires, and then just like make an inferno on the go, try to blast like that sort of thing. Except you can't do that, so.
Maybe if Earths were fast, but
Except no, it's because
maybe like a middling
orders
speed.
and chaos can't approach. Like orders and chaos are like, why should we approach? Because we're gonna lose units. So we'll just camp down and get our good units.
Right, because against elementals, chaos just puts down turret. Yeah, it's essentially it. Put down turret. You can't approach. Make wings. Make a Marokai. You can't do anything. And
yeah, that's another of the
with order,
problems.
yeah, they cannot break through
I
turrets at the moment.
I guess what they can do is I guess what they can do for elementals is probably give them like a late game rage increase. I don't know.
I think those are more patch fixes than actual fixes.
Yeah.
We've basically gone over the problem of the elementals.
Yeah, we have, but where we're going? How have we come back here anyways?
Wait,
I don't
what
know.
did you say? I didn't hear the last part because you went high as.
Okay, how did we come back to the elemental subject anyways?
Because
we were talking about
archers.
matchups of the 10th
Oh,
unit.
right. I brought up like
but yeah.
that the siege tank type unit would be pretty good against trees, and
I think it'd actually be
went
a really
into
fun
like
unit. Like, it should actually be implemented. But
well, I mean, maybe stick or 3. Maybe we send this to CJ. Or
yeah,
something.
okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I guess we could
So-
discuss this a little bit more about elemental or some other stuff another time. But
yeah, basically we've covered already the weaknesses of Elemental. We went into Albow viability, yeah, and we basically agreed semi-viable in the right situations, but it's more that there's no reason to go into it when Arch is just so good. And then we went into the 10th unit, and it was very anti-Archer, which we kind of brought in. So that was our podcast, I guess.
Guys, don't
Yeah.
think we're trying to preach to you that archers are overpowered or anything. Right now, they're just the central force in the metagame. And basically, right now, they're very centralizing in that everything you do has to react to archers, or you are doing archers in the case of order versus order.
I think people need to realize a unit can be strong but not overpowered.
Right, centralizing is the term. like say a Garchomp in Pokemon. It's not like super uber strong, but it's ridiculous almost how
Say
like it.
Doom Patron and Hearthstone, or maybe like Skull Clamp and MTG low. Skull Clamp was pretty broken though, but that's
Yeah,
off the topic now. Um, so yeah, any last words, Terry?
I've got none. Like, I think we've covered everything at this point. I think it'll be
Yeah, I really enjoyed being on this, and I like hope to do this like in a few weeks' time. Rain, yeah, Terry.
sure. Maybe next Saturday this time.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right.
Uh,
Well, with that out of the way, guys, this has been The Highest Point, our new podcast series. It'll be going up on this channel. We'll post around the stickpage forum. If you guys could like and share this, it'd be a great help to help us grow this. We just want to share this great game with everyone and maybe educate a few people on what they can do in the game and what's possible right now. If you want to learn more about the game or learn how to get better, you can check out the stickpage forums at forums.stickpage.com or the Team Zenith site, which has recently opened up its strategy forums to all public at teamzenith.com/forums. We hope to see you there, and thanks for watching.